Just a reminder, Columbus didn't discover shit. Indigenous people are still here. What they do to the land, they do to the people. We must protect our women, children, and two-spirit relatives. Nobody is illegal on stolen native land. Fuck ICE, fuck Columbus, and fuck colonialism.
It's time for us to stop listening to rap music and this degenerate hip-hop stuff and go back to the music that builds our civilization.
My God.
They are dying, and we call it too far to care. Congo is bleeding, not metaphorically, literally. The ground is soaked in the blood of children mining cobalt so can charge our phone. You hold their pain in your pocket, you scroll through it and then scroll past it. Their childhoods ends in tunnels, not cartoons, not birthdays, just black dust and breaking backs. We don't look, because the world doesn't teach us to care when black kids suffer quietly. And in Sudan, families run from fire with babies strapped to their backs and nothing in their hands. Cities burn, fathers vanish, mothers dig graves with their bare hands because no one's coming. And we post filters, we chase trends, we cry for things the world tell us are worth crying for. And not this, not them, not Congo, not Sudan. That's the most dangerous part. Not the war, not the bomb, but the silence. Silence is what genocide sounds like. It doesn't scream, it doesn't explode, it disappears. And we hope it vanish every time we say nothing. But this time, we say something. We speak, we scream, we flood the silence with truth. Because these lives are not less, they're not numbers, they're not shadows, they are humans. They're scared, and they are ours. Speak, share, refuse to look away. Congo is bleeding, Sudan is burning.
Greta'ya çok ağır işkence yaptılar. Gözlerimizin önünde. Evet, Greta'ya zulmettiler. Küçücük çocuk da Greta. Onu süründürdüler, İsrail bayrağını öptürdüler. Yani Naziler ne yaptıysa aynısını yaptılar. Ve onu orta bir yerde sergilediler. Böyle şey yaptıkları isimler vardı, üzerlerine oynadıkları isimler vardı. Zaten Greta üzerinden kriminalize ediyorlardı Filo'yu. Ve Greta gerçekten ben yakından da gördüm, konuştum. Minyon, küçücük bir çocuk aslında da. Ona bilerek yaptılar ve işte...
ona bir kafayı takmışlardı zaten.
Çünkü popüler bir karakter olduğu için. Böyle ama Allah'a şükürler olsun geldik.
paying attention to me right now?
Hola, mija. Aquí nos encontramos aquí afuera haciendo un trabajo manual. Aquí están los chavos que están con frío, pero están jugando nieve. ¿Te gusta snow, mija? ¿Te gusta snow?
Yo, did you see what the president said the other day? Yes, misinformation, disinformation, or slur. He claims he warned the US and told Pete Hegseth about Bin Laden a year before 9/11 in one of his books. He can write? I'm not even convinced he can read. Shit doesn't even make sense. Pete was like 20. It's a 50-something-year-old billionaire doing hangout with a college kid. Wouldn't be the first time he hung around kids. The world is just so fucked up. I'm sorry. What? Can we not do this right now? What? I'm just not into politics. I don't really want to get involved. We were literally just talking about the president. Yeah, but it's like too much shit going on right now. Like, I want to focus on the positive. Yeah, but sometimes we don't always get to focus on the positive because this shit negatively affects people. Okay, well, I don't want to play the victim, and I don't see why you're so committed to doing that. I'm not playing the victim, I'm just being. Sometimes that's enough for somebody to fucking hate you. So I'm glad you get to pick and choose what's important to you at any given moment. But when that shit comes knocking at your door asking you what your value is as a human, then what? Look, I get what you're saying. I just don't want to be upset from the world burning all the time. Some people need distractions. My God, wake up! You're an adult! You can listen to your favorite music, tweet about your favorite show, watch your favorite movie 50 fucking times if you want to. But there may come a time when you have to step outside and look at a world that you don't recognize. Or one that might not recognize you. I'm not saying you can't have fun. I'm not saying that there's not time to laugh about stupid shit and talk about your interests, but 2016 was 9 years ago. We are the grown-ups now, and sometimes we just need to have difficult and uncomfortable conversations. People are being massacred in Palestine. Trans people are being labeled as violent extremist groups. Conservative wannabe podcast hosts are arguing about whether or not black people were better off before or after segregation. You're on your phones enough to fucking see it. Life is meant to be enjoyed. And while we can take time to enjoy it, we also can have tough conversations to make sure that everybody, not just the people I agree with, can enjoy it too. I agree. I'll turn on SpongeBob. I'm fucking stressed.
Yeah, we got 2 men holding hands. I'm gonna need all available units stat. What's a polycule? Over. You're asexual? Asexual what? Witchcraft Brewery is the Antifa headquarters. Okay, well everyone's white, so do we just go after people who have different colored hair? What they are you? Yeah, we got another guy who's annoying about IPA. Why are we here? Yeah, there's someone dressed differently than what I want. Permission to fire. What's that small dog doing off leash? There's a lot of strip clubs here. We're gonna need $20,000 cash and some time to investigate. Yeah, we got a Subaru, which is Antifa, and I don't know. Yeah, we got a man dressed nicely. What is a gayborhood? Over. It's jaywalking. Open fire. You look happy, and that makes me very upset. Yeah, someone was performatively reading a book, calling an airstrike. Where's the Joker? Where's Bane? Because I was told, am I confusing this with another city? Hey Google, is it illegal for you to own dogs if you are a man who likes men?
At this point, this ice shit has gone way too fucking far. I'm just gonna say this right now. Share this video with everybody you know and save this video to your phone. This video has a very good chance of being taken down. And if it is taken down, you need to send it to everybody you know afterwards especially. If you're not in the loop of what's going on, let me update you. I did a little something different there. Why am I hearing that law enforcement is now allowed to racially profile? What the fuck is this? Why is this shit happening? Why is America so fucked up, bro? Like, why am I here? Why do I live here? At the moment, they're just going to immigrants. They're just finding the immigrants, right? But that's not gonna stop them. They're not gonna be happy until everybody's out. People that talk against Donald Trump, Donald Trump, fuck you. I dare you to try to come and get me. Put me in a fucking camp. People will know what happened. The people that were talking about Palestine and the shit that was going on there, they're gonna be put in a camp too, apparently. This isn't actual information, but it's the shit that it's leading up to. People of color are going to be caught up in this shit because the law enforcement is now allowed to racially profile. America hasn't been America in quite a long time, and I wish I was not a part of this piece of shit country. This country used to stand for something. It used to. And now the people in power made it stand for just them. They don't care about us. They don't give a fuck about the American people. All they give a fuck about is money and power. They're power hungry motherfuckers. Everybody in power that is not seeing good shit and is only looking at it for themselves, you can sit on this and rotate, bitch. The last time I talked about this shit, the video did pretty good. I hope, Donald Trump, you see this shit. I hope, ICE, you see this shit. I hope anybody in power, you see this shit. If you're not agreeing with me, you're fucked up. But as usual, if there's anything else that comes out about this, I'll be sure to let you know. Just drop a comment that you want more videos like this, and also follow me so you never miss a video like this. But for right now, peace out, deuces motherfuckers. Everybody stay safe and watch your surroundings. I was sitting down one day for a little family dinner. We were having some brisket, right? And my uncle starts talking some shit. I'm pretty quiet, right? And he looks over to me and he says, "Why you mad? All the kids in Palestine dead?" And I want to talk about that. What I'm observing, and a lot of like Gen X conservatives specifically, is a lot of them have not really moved on past that teenage angst that was really popular in the 90s, and it really shows. What I think happened was this whole like fuck the man attitude got co-opted by the elites. So instead of it actually manifesting into like a real questioning of the system, it more became just blind contrarianism for the sake of contrarianism. You gotta think of them almost as like your original edgelords. And as society became more socially progressive over time, I think these people really didn't let go of that blind contrarianism that they had at like 17. And it made them assholes. No, your nephews didn't become fucking woke. You just fucking suck to be around. It's why they acted like such fucking crybabies when they were told to wear a mask. You can't tell me what to do. What are you, fucking 17? Clean your room. So I think like the non-improvement in material conditions and this blatant contrarianism really lends itself well to modern fascist movements. I also think this support for fascist movements is also very much helped by their like nostalgia for the very rigid social structures within high school. They'll always bring up how back in the day there were the jocks, there were the nerds, there were the goths. It's also not a huge coincidence that their examples they always bring up are almost all primarily white, but we're not gonna get into that today. I think it's kind of why they love like the MAGA movement so much. It's like high school again. Are you a snowflake liberal or are you a red-blooded conservative? You know, it's like nerds and jocks all over again, just with a little sprinkle of white nationalism.
That's just it, he's nobody.
No, I am an educated black man, your worst nightmare, punk. You know, it doesn't matter how many degrees I get. All you people see is color. Your grandfather was an immigrant. You're American. My grandfather was born here, Duke. And you people still look at me as just another nigga.
Every time we have a chance to get ahead, they move to finish line.
You want to be like Trump? Gimme, gimme, gimme. Push, push, push, push. Step, step, step. Crush, crush, crush.
Look around you, man. They own this shit. This country, you, one beat down and never compare to 439 years of captivity.
Look at our circumstances, man. Look where we from. I'm tired of this, man. I'm sick of worrying about the government.
It's not a question of violence or non-violence. It's a question of resistance to fascism or non-existence within fascism. You can murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation. You can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter, but you can't murder freedom. A revolutionary! A revolutionary! A revolutionary! No, no, no, no, no! Too loud, too reckless, too ghetto. Mr. Lamar, do you really know how to play the game? Then tighten up!
The revolution about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy.
Someone better squabble up.
If you live in the United States, I would heavily consider only shopping for groceries at Costco or Aldi from now on. Due to the funding cuts from Trump's administration, the CDC has cut down massively its food safety programs. They are now only actively monitoring for 2 harmful pathogens. This doesn't mean the other pathogens are harmless. They are still harmful. They just simply do not have the funding or wherewithal to be able to monitor for all of these. They have now stated it is up to states to now monitor for these other pathogens. But keep in mind, a lot of states do not have the funding to monitor for these. Hence why the CDC gets federal funding to monitor for the entire country. But that funding has been cut. Costco and Aldi do their own food safety monitoring programs, and I would consider just shopping for groceries at places that you know are safe and are monitoring actively so that we don't have situations where you go and buy shrimp at Walmart and it's radioactive and you ate it and now you're in the hospital.
I have an analogy of why 4chan incel culture has an obsession with transness. I also understand why right-wing social politics are so heavily hyperfixated on transness from the perspective of a trans person myself. It goes as such, and yes, I wrote this myself. There's an inherent elusivity to social identification. The idea of transitioning implies a standpoint somewhere across the spectrum rather than a hierarchy. Transness, according to the perspective of onlookers, degenerates the stratification of the established binary by implying that a person can quickly or slowly move across or beyond the confined standards of male and female, and at any given point sits somewhere in a middle zone or not quite on the very far ends as much as most people, and as such, making insinuations of gender alignment subjective or even pointless and unrealistic. All of that to essentially say, I believe that incels and self-hating teenage boys, as well as Republicans, fear the illusion of choice and transition. And for the very far right end, they simultaneously envy and revere womanhood and fear the standards of manhood that society projects onto them through enculturation and socialization. I think that these boys view transness, something they don't get or respect, as more of a choice or a way out of manhood, if you will. If you notice, some of the ways that these boys, and I'm conjecturing that they're between the ages of 13 and 24 here, characterize trans people as this grotesque, unattractive, morbidly obese, hairy caricature, essentially, ironically aligning with some of the bodies and faces that they commonly are stereotyped to have. Not trying to mock anyone. And it's usually only really finished with an insignia or personality aligning with those of the opposing political faction, which they typically detest, which is liberals, leftists, and wokeness as a concept. It's all a projection, according to my concept. I believe that these boys think that trans people transition to escape the trivializations of manhood. I'm only going to discuss trans women in this because they likely just don't believe that trans men really exist, or strangely, they get the terms confused and think that trans women are trans men. It's a whole thing. But essentially, they believe that trans women are just feminine gay men that take hormones to escape being a man. I theorize that their obsession with stripping the womanhood and the inherent femaleness of trans girls is that they consider it an option to their lives as well. Stay with me. Now, based on my personal experiences with these kinds of men, this one friend from years ago, I've talked about him on my page actually, they view themselves as brave social defenders of the truth. A nihilistic, philosophically dreadful depiction of the world based on their years of consuming dreary, dream-shattering, reality-breaking depictions of life through the media they consume, the literature they consume, and their idiosyncratic life experiences that likely denote parental paternalism and despotism or workplace menticide. Essentially, these men and boys view trans women as just other men that chose the easy way out of confronting the dreariness of being a man, working a dead-end job that you hate, having girls reject you because of you're too skinny, or you're too poor, or too loving, or whatever they tell themselves. They don't respect transness and even hyperbolize it beyond the extent of societal homophobia even in the 90s, because they view transness as an easy way out, a cheat code to the world, if you will. Now, from my experience, it's really not that they don't see us as girls deep down, or they don't see trans women as women. They deeply, strangely do. But at the same time, They view trans women as the antithesis to their existence because trans people embrace freedom, a life beyond constrictions of rudimentary biological preconditioning. They get it, they just fear it. And it's not trying to give them more leeway than they honestly deserve. It's just an assertion based on personal experience. I would say maybe some of them are trans, but simply are scared to acknowledge what's on the other side of the veil. And this is not to coddle them or imply they're sensitive, helpless, sweet babies. Deep down, they're sometimes very crazy. But think about it. For anyone who's watching who's gay or trans or bi or lesbian or non-binary, if you had to live in a sad world with no way out and you saw someone else find a way that you can't pursue or too scared to pursue, wouldn't it make you feel some kind of way deep down? This also not to infer that every single one of these men are trans. That's absolutely not true. It's just more of an analogy as to why right-wing media likes to capitalize on the imagery and depiction of trans people in light of how the world is now. I think it's because they view transness as a weakness to malehood.
Ñukanchik Madison, Wisconsin, Llaqtamanta, Tukuy Ayukunaman, Kay Villayta, Cachapanchik.
The Quechua community of Madison, Wisconsin, United States of America issues the following statement denouncing the human rights violations, killings, and blatant criminalization of our indigenous communities of Ecuador and their right to protest at the hands of Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa and his government.
We're joining our fellow Dunas in diaspora, como Quechua Collective, Wisconsin Mashikuna, Kai Mantakuna, and Quechua Hatari, in raising our voices to condemn these atrocities and refuse to be spectators as we watch as the human rights of our people are violated.
We strongly condemn the brutal assassination of Efrain Fuertes and others who were exercising their constitutional right to protest. They were murdered by military police on orders from Noboa's government.
We call on national and international human rights groups to investigate the blatant abuse of power, and we demand those responsible for the deaths of our community members to be identified and investigated.
We denounce the detention and criminalization of our community members who are protesting right now against the injustices imposed by the current administration. We demand their full and immediate liberation and hold President Daniel Noboa responsible for the life and safety of every political prisoner.
We stand in unwavering solidarity with the families of all those killed, injured, and unjustly detained during the protests, who are facing indescribable pain left by the repression. We condemn the criminalization and violence ripping through our communities, and we will not tolerate the systemic violation of our human rights nor the suppression of our fundamental right to protest.
Somos resistencia, no somos terroristas.
Something in my gut is telling me not to make this video, but I'm making it anyways. PewDiePie and Taylor Swift are two sides of the same coin. Now, I've had this stance for a long while, but I was actually inspired to finally make a video commenting about it after seeing this video discussing the dynamics of Taylor's brand as a white girl and why it led to the creation of the album she just put out. It is really informative and really well spoken, and in general, it's so rare to see white people call out these dynamics, especially white women, and so I'm just really appreciative for that video overall, and I think you guys should check it out. With that being said, I'll still give you guys the Timo explanation. Taylor Swift has the image of being a white girl. She has had it ever since she entered the entertainment industry and was actually a white girl. And you might be thinking, Digi, she is white. Of course she has the image of a white girl. That's not what we're talking about. See, the image of being a white girl is inherently associated with purity and innocence, which are labels that Taylor has latched onto all her life, as opposed to other white women who relied on the adultification of black culture in order to shed their image of being a white girl, cough cough, Miley Cyrus, Ariana Grande, but that's a conversation for another day. Point being, the image of a white girl is meant to be youthful, innocent, and pure. But Taylor's not a girl anymore. She hasn't been for a long while, and that's absolutely fine. But what becomes very explicit in this new album is that Taylor's trying to find a way to transition into being a white woman without losing the benefits of being perceived as a white girl. Again, the person whose video I came across explains it way better than me, but this is just a short version of it. And you can tell throughout her lyrics, it seems like she's constantly excusing the fact that she's showing any type of autonomy. She's desperately trying to explain away any feelings that she is having as things that have been imposed onto her, and how deep down it's not her fault. She's still the innocent, pure little white girl. Someone else brought these feelings to her. And TLDR, it feels like this is all going to culminate into her soft launching of becoming a trad wife. And not just that, but an overall shift to the right in her media. The song where she plays off the fact that people are weirded out that she's friends with Zionists and Trumpies and and people who want to abuse black women as just, oh, everybody wants to cancel me, or the lyrics where she talks about how she wants to make a block full of babies with her husband, it definitely seems that her music is going down a much more explicit alt-right pipeline. And in turn, she herself will become an introduction for one. And now it feels like the theory that I've had for the longest time has finally come to fruition. I feel like I can wholeheartedly say Taylor Swift and PewDiePie are both introductions to the alt-right pipeline for their respective genders. Specifically Taylor Swift for young white girls and PewDiePie for young white boys. And now you might be thinking, Digi, these people have literally nothing in common. You couldn't have picked two more random people. And to that I say, untrue. They have one very important thing that connects them, and that is the fact that they have this weird persecution halo effect surrounding them whenever someone tries to criticize them. To elaborate, throughout both of their careers, Taylor Swift and PewDiePie have been subjected to unnecessary hate over things that are petty and out of their control. For Taylor Swift, it's a lot more systemic. Not only is she a woman, but she is a woman that is emblematic of a lot of other young women's interests, which obviously makes her useless because nothing that women take joy in can ever have any value. Ironically enough, you also have the slut shaming, despite the fact that a major part of her brand is how innocent she is. And with PewDiePie, it's less systemic and I'd argue much less severe, but at the end of the day, he's also emblematic of new age technology and was the face of YouTube for a very long time, which caused a lot of older forms of technology, TV hosts, news stations, etc., to consistently slander him and accuse him of frankly nonsensical things, and in turn, this pushed a lot of people to defend him because he was kind of the face of not just new age technology, but the younger generation in general and how they felt ostracized by the elder generation. And to be fair, the severity of how they were attacked isn't necessarily relevant here because the result is the same. They both now have this bubble surrounding them that is formed by the people who defend them by essentially sweeping any and all criticisms of them under the rug and immediately conflating them with the non-justified criticisms. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. You said even the tiniest thing against PewDiePie, you immediately got accused of siding with the corporate overlord T-Series. And we all know the story of trying to say something negative about Taylor Swift and basically being told that you hate women and probably fantasize about beating them. And the thing is, it is difficult because there are people who will take advantage of the valid criticisms and use them to hide their invalid criticisms. So I do sometimes get the defensiveness, but then again, no, I don't, because there's no reason somebody saying that it's weird that Taylor hangs out with MAGA people should trigger you into thinking that they're a misogynist, nor is there any reason that somebody pointing out the blatant anti-Indian racism in bitch lasagna should mean you believe every media should be corporate owned and you don't fuck with indie creators. Anyways, all this yapping to say, the reason that it makes them such good introductions to the alt-right pipeline is that you are not allowed to call out when they are blatantly drip-feeding their fan base alt-right propaganda. Although in PewDiePie's case, it was less drip-feeding and more so shoving the bottle into their mouth and force-feeding. Point being, the little bubble of immunity that their fans have created essentially allows them to go unchecked in the rhetoric they spread. Although thankfully now it's a lot more easy to have conversations on the damage that these two have had on their respective demographics. But yeah, anyways, I'm literally never making a video on Taylor Swift ever again. My For You page is full of white women swinging their arms wildly at me like they're trying to conduct a punk rock metal band. Not sure if they're trying to emphasize the non-existent messages behind the lyrics or if they're trying to teach me BSL at this point.
Every billionaire is an enemy of humanity. What? Not my T-Swift! She's caused immense harm. How can you even say that? Let's imagine Miss Swift's wealth is apples. She has roughly $1.6 billion, so let's say that's 1.6 billion apples. Sure. If she ate an apple a day, how long until she ran out of apples? Like 10,000 years? 4.3 million years. Wow. Even if she ate 10,000 apples a day, that would still take her 438 years to eat all those apples. That's more apples than anybody could eat in a lifetime. I think you're starting to see my point. So what? She has a lot of wealth. She does, and she holds onto that wealth while people are starving. This is the profound sin of billionaires. They have the power to save lives and choose not to. She's not the cause of famine or economic collapse. Why should she be responsible for it? Jesus tells us that we're supposed to do two things: love God and love our neighbor. So, if you had enough grain to feed millions of people but chose to save that grain in your barns while they starved, would that be loving your neighbor? No. And yet, that's what Taylor Swift, Donald Trump, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk, and a bunch of other billionaires are doing right now. They see the suffering of their fellow humans and choose to hoard their wealth. They see hungry children and think, I'm going to keep my apples for myself. That is profoundly sinful.
Sydney Sweeney has great jeans. Jeans made with 100% white cotton. These jeans are so pure, all the other jeans should be set on fire. These mixed polyester jeans should be rounded up and exterminated. We at American Eagle want one thing for the future. A place where one jean prevails. Come get them for $19.99 at our sweet summer sale.
When I say I'm anti-AI, this is what I mean. This is what it's like for the people who are living near the AI data centers.
The light pollution is...
We don't have to have a night light in the house. You can walk around the house at night and see everything. It's that bright.
The wind blowing in all of this stuff from across the construction, across the road.
This is all from Meta.
When I smelled it the first time, I was asleep. And it woke me up because I thought gas was seeping in the house, but come to find out, we come outside, and
and all the neighbors was outside trying to figure out what's going on.
Last year, Alexis lost her grandfather, who struggled with a respiratory illness called COPD.
COPD is a breathing condition, but you don't get it unless you smoke cigarettes. And my granddad didn't smoke cigarettes. But every 3 weeks or so, my granddad was going to the hospital. I have asthma, bronchitis. My mom have just bronchitis, and now my granny has it.
The area around XAI leads the state in emergency department visits for asthma. In just 1 year, XAI has blown past existing polluters.
They're emitting somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 tons of NOx. I'm an air pollution guy, so I deal in those numbers all the time, and that's larger than anything else in Memphis.
And the first thing I did was hear the turbines. You can smell it as well. Such a disturbingly unique smell.
And the US government has just signed a bunch of executive orders to speedrun AI development and growth, including opening federal land up for AI data centers, removing any sort of limitations in terms of Clean Air or Clean Water Act. And yeah, there's literal people who are suffering because of them.